What's going on, guys? Gainz Gaming here, and today we are talking about one of the newest commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, Achilles. Now, he is obviously a very historical figure, and I'm excited to dive into his skill kit and talk about whether or not you should consider investing into him. Now, obviously, he is not in the game yet, so we have not seen official testing with him, but I will give you guys my first thoughts and first reactions to Achilles and whether or not he is going to be worth investing into, or if you should hold off and potentially wait for future commanders to come out. Now, again, I am a sponsored content creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you have not yet subscribed and you enjoy this video, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe, so that way you see more of this content in the future, and it helps me out tremendously. So I greatly appreciate all of you guys for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, but let's jump straight into it. Again, we have Achilles. He has cavalry, versatility, and combo. Let's jump into it here. So we have the Hephaestian Spear. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Comment down below if I'm not. This is an AoE damage skill, which is fantastic. 1000 rage requirement, great. So his skill launches 2 combo attacks against up to 5 nearby enemy troops, damage factor of 1000, and the targets lose 20% march speed for 3 seconds. But that's not it. The targets are also inflicted with Sundered for 10 seconds. This increases the damage they receive from Hephaestian Spear by 5%, and this can stack up to 3 times, and its duration resets whenever it gains another stack, and it does not automatically clear when exiting combat. That's a lot to unpack here. So first of all, launches 2 combo attacks against up to 5 nearby enemy troops of 1000 damage factor. Let's take a look at what his skill actually looks like so we can kind of see what we're working with here. Holy crap, this is circular AoE, guys. I honestly did not even know that. So we got another circular AoE commander. That is kind of crazy. So launches 2 combo attacks against up to 5 nearby enemy troops in a circle, mind you. Yes, the damage is low. 1000 damage factor. Every additional target reduces the damage by 15%, as usual. But the targets also lose 20% march speed. Now that is very substantial, because as you know, if you get hit by anything that reduces your march speed, you are not able to get away. You're just dead. You're not going to get away. And on top of that, you're also going to be taking more damage from Achilles. Even if there's other Achilles on the field, you're going to take more damage from him, up to 15% more damage from this skill for 10 seconds. So if your allies, if your kingdom goes all in on Achilles, and all of you guys have this in the open field, every single person has 1 Achilles in the march. Every single time you're doing this primary skill, the AoE skill, up to 5 people, they're all taking up to 15% more damage from this skill. So yes, this is a low damage factor, but you're going to be buffing the crap out of it. So let's go over the rest of his kit and see what else we have in here. His next skill, Wings of Arke, potentially. This commander's cav units gain 40% attack and 20% march speed. Now, the march speed you don't really need as a cavalry commander, but while outside the alliance territory, they also gain 10% health. Now, I would honestly prefer defense in this case, simply because I talked about this in previous videos, but the more of a stat that you have, the less impactful it is. And with cav gear, you are typically going to have more health than you have defense. So when you boost your health by 10%, that is going to be less meaningful than if you were to boost your defense by 10%, depending on the gear you have. But in most cases, people are going to have more health than they have defense. So it's just less of a benefit getting additional health. Even though, yes, health is the best stat, having a more balance of health and defense is probably going to be more meaningful than having an overwhelming amount of health and very little defense, because the average is going to be kind of skewed by that lower defense amount. But nonetheless, 10% health, still solid. 40% attack, especially with the new KVK tech, is also pretty substantial. And that 20% march speed, I mean, you don't need that on cavalry, but I'm not going to say no to 20% march speed. Now, onto his third skill. I don't even want to try to pronounce this. Something armor. I'm going to butcher the crap out of that. So if this commander's troop is on the map, it takes 5% less damage. Great. All incoming skill damage, combo attack damage, and counterattack damage is reduced by 10%. And Whenever this effect reduces a total of 3,000 damage factor of damage, this commander casts the Pillion Spear skill. So that means when you take a substantial amount of skill damage, so if a whale comes and hits you and they do a ton of skill damage, you automatically do your primary skill again. And they lose 20% march speed for 3 seconds. They're inflicted with a sundered, if they're not already, and you launch 2 more combo attacks. That's kind of crazy. Like, this is a commander you want to get off the field, but you also don't want to hit because it's going to punish you. And I mean, skill damage is reduced, combo attack damage is reduced, and counterattack damage is reduced, all by 10%. However, you don't see smite damage in there. So that's a one way to take this guy out, is use smite damage, and does not include range direct damage or range additional damage. So that means siege commanders will also be able to wreak havoc on Achilles. So if you are using siege and you see an Achilles, target the Achilles, because they are going to be punishing archers and cavalry by hitting them. Infantry can hit him, and that would be great. But siege, if you have a siege commander and you can hit his commander, you certainly should. But again, this is kind of crazy, being able to deal your active skill again anytime you take a bunch of damage. That's actually pretty great. I'm not sure how often you're going to reduce by 3,000 damage, because, you know, obviously reduce by 10%, that's not a ton. So you'd really have to take 30,000 damage factor. This skill could be insanely good, or it could almost never get popped off. We're gonna have to see testing on this to see really how good this actually is. And obviously, like, as you upgrade the skill, the total damage reduction that you need to cast this is reduced. I believe we'll have to get to it here eventually, but I believe that the expertise also benefits it. So we'll have to look into that. So 4th skill, before we get there, 4th skill, Sing of the Wrath of Achilles. If this commander's troop is a field troop, so pretty much anytime you're using him, it deals 10% more normal damage. Now this includes basic attack, counterattack, smite, and combo attack damage. So this is boosting everything pretty much for him. And whenever it uses the Pillion skill, it gains a 10% bonus to rage gain and a 10% bonus to attack for 10 seconds. Now, you can overrage, that is a thing, but in my opinion at least, obviously this isn't like super analytical, I'm typically very numbers oriented, but in my opinion, more rage is better than less rage in most circumstances. The odds of you overraging isn't super substantial, but it can happen. But in my opinion, going for more rage is probably a better idea than going for less rage. So 10% bonus to rage, great. 10% bonus to attack, not amazing, but for 10 seconds, that's really nice. You're going to be popping off a lot more skills in those 10 seconds. And this effect can stack up to 2 times. That's even crazier. I didn't even get to that part. So that means you can get 20% bonus to rage gain and 20% bonus to attack for 10 whole seconds. And its duration resets whenever it gains another stack. So you're pretty much automatically going to have this for 20%, because you're going to be firing off that Pillion Spear skill over and over and over again. And again, it's doing 5 target AoE damage in a circle, lowering their march speed. It's just doing so much. Holy crap. Let's take a look at the expertise. It enhances the whatever armor. I'm not I shouldn't even do it. I'm gonna butcher it. I already get mocked from Lilith making videos of me pronouncing commander names wrong, so I don't want to end up on another low light reel on their official channel. So if this commander's troop is on the map, it takes 5% less damage. Okay, and then all incoming skill damage, combo attack damage, and counterattack damage is reduced by then 15%, so an extra 5%. And whenever this effect reduces a total of 2,500 damage factor, this commander casts the Pillion Spear skill. So not only reduces the damage you're taking by an additional 5%, but it also lowers the amount of damage you need to reduce it by to cast another active skill. That is pretty substantial. Now, I haven't even watched any other videos of content creators about these new commanders yet, so this is really my first overall take. I I'll have to look into see what everyone else is saying. But my first thoughts on Achilles is, I mean, he seems pretty fantastic. I think he's definitely a better option than Hector, but I will say that I would still hold off on investing into Achilles. Now, why is that? Because we have new cavalry commanders, plural, coming within the next 2 or 3 months, potentially, maybe even sooner than that. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure when these guys are getting released, but that seems too soon for me to recommend investing into a brand new commander, especially when we have the new cavalry commanders coming out. Because who knows, maybe the next cavalry commanders are even better than Achilles, and you dump all your sculptures into Achilles and you're like, oh crap, this other commander is even better than Achilles. Now I don't have any gold heads. So if you are not going into a KVK right now where you need another cav commander, hold off on Achilles. If you can make your Nevsky last another couple of months, hold off and just wait it out. Wait out the storm. Wait until we see what the next generation of cav units look like, because we are due for a big investment into cavalry. I think that we are overdue for that. And who knows, maybe when the next cavalry come, Achilles is the best one. And then you dump your sculptures into Achilles, because, I mean, it's really hard to argue with the circular AoE and how many times you're dealing that AoE. Yes, it is a low amount. And yes, it is 2 combo attacks. So it's not immediate damage, it's over time, but it's immediate. It's not 5 combo attacks, it's 2. So it's really just 2 seconds you have to be in combat for this to work. And you're reducing that march span by 20% for 3 seconds, which is enormous. So I think overall, you're probably not going to regret your investment into Achilles, but the chance of you having another commander coming in the next 2-3 months that is better than Achilles is still there. So the risk to reward is there. Achilles, I think he is going to be a better option than Nevsky. I think he is a better option than who, honestly. I mean, we might have to see testing in game when they officially come in, but it's really, again, hard to argue with 5 target AoE in a circle that reduces march speed and increases the damage dealt with that AoE factor. Like, it's really hard to argue with that. I think we need to see it in game. Potentially replaces Nevsky, potentially replaces Hukabing. Like, I think there's a lot of room for this commander to do a lot of work in Rise of Kingdoms. So I'm curious what you guys think. Comment down below what your initial thoughts are on Achilles, if you think he is worth investing into right now, or if you would recommend holding off until the next cavalry come. Comment down below. If you guys have not yet subscribed, subscribe, like the video. I'll see you guys next time. I really appreciate you watching.